Buffalo, New York, and Rich Stadium, blanketed in white, brings to mind roasting chestnuts, sleigh bells, hot chocolate, and snowmen. It is, in every sense, a winter wonderland. Though the majority of the 55,000 hardy souls who brave 20-degree temperatures buffeted by 15-mile-an-hour winds are Buffalo Bill backers, they have a chance to see not only the hometown team, but also the visiting Minnesota Vikings go after some truly remarkable records. If Viking quarterback Francis Asbury Tarkenton can spin 2 touchdown spirals through the snowflakes, he will surpass Johnny Unitas' record of 290 touchdown passes in his career. Though Ed Marinaro is obviously the object of someone's affection, it is his running mate in the Viking backfield who today is chasing an unique accomplishment, pro football's Triple Crown. Number 44, Chuck Foreman, currently leads the NFC in receiving and scoring, and with a big game could also take the third leg of the crown with the rushing title. Also, with 18 touchdowns thus far, Foreman has an outside shot at Gale Sayers' record of 22 touchdowns in one season. But the man who has the real shot at Sayers' record is O.J. Simpson. The Juice already has 21 touchdowns in 1975, so he needs only 1 to tie, 2 to better the all-time mark for touchdowns in a season. Simpson's long shot is his pursuit of his own one-season rushing record. With 244 yards, he will top his incredible 2003-yard year of 1973. Most people probably brave the blizzard to see Tarkenton, Foreman, and Simpson go after their records. Or maybe they just came out to Rich Stadium to monkey around in the snow a bit as the Buffalo Bills meet the Minnesota Vikings in the NFL Game of the Week. As the game began, the field that the grounds crew had worked so hard to clear was already piling up snow again, making the footing uncertain at best. For Buffalo quarterback Joe Ferguson, the footing led to an interception. For J.D. Hill could not complete his pattern and was not where Ferguson expected him to be. Bobby Bryant's interception and run back put Minnesota in excellent field position. And Tarkenton, rather than throw difficult passes that required the good timing that this field did not permit, instead threw only short passes. Tarkenton's passes were even more safe in that if the intended receiver could not catch the pass, no one would. And when his receivers held on, they made good yardage against the league's most porous pass defense. Tarkenton, as usual, made great use of his running backs, Chuck Foreman and Ed Marinaro, number 49, who between them are the first 2 running backs on the same team to combine for over 100 receptions and have caught almost half of Tarkenton's passes for the entire season. Tarkenton passes accounted for 40 yards of the 60-yard drive that Foreman finished with a 4-yard smash around right end. Looking at Foreman's run from up top, we can see there was a hole over right tackle, but Foreman then broke outside and broke 3 tackles, making his run much more than a mere 4-yard touchdown run. Foreman's 19th touchdown of the year brought him to 999 yards rushing. He would soon go over 1,000, and the Vikings led 7-0. The Bills were unable to move on their second series of the game when Simpson made fakes worthy of a 50-yard run, but wound up with -9 yards when Terry Brown came from his safety spot to nail O.J. down. Simpson's 2,000 yards never seemed so far away. But more importantly, with Simpson under wraps, Ferguson was forced to throw more often. And a second-period interception set up another Viking score when Ferguson hit the only man who was open, Viking defensive back Terry Brown. Simpson and the rest of the highest-scoring offense in the league would be held in check for most of the half. But Minnesota's score would not come easily, for the Bills' much-maligned defense got tough after the turnover. Tarkenton's short passing game was stopped at least this once, and Tark himself was stopped by blitzing bulldogger Tom Rood. But faced with a 3rd and 20, Tarkenton put up a clutch pass, and John Gilliam, silent until now, made an unbelievably clutch catch. Looking at the play from player level, we can see that Gilliam was racked up by Ike Thomas and Tony Green, who shook the ball loose, and that Gilliam reclaimed it before he or the ball hit the ground. Several plays later, Foreman got touchdown number 20 of the season, and the Vikings had used 2 Ferguson interceptions to put 2 touchdowns on the board. But the Vikings' points weren't all Buffalo mistake-fused. In the first period, Tarkenton had moved the Vikings 67 yards following a punt. On a 3rd and 10, he sent Foreman, number 44, swinging left. But this time he ignored him, stepped up in the pocket, and hit Jim Lash for a first down. Later in the drive, Tark was screening again, but again ignoring his running backs and hitting tight end Stu Voigt. From the 7, Foreman burst over right guard and headed for touchdown number 21. But Foreman came out of the pack without the ball. Fortunately for the Vikes, Lash recovered the fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. Minnesota had its 3rd touchdown of the game, and on a replay we can see why Foreman did not also get his 3rd touchdown of the game. When Pat Toomey hit Foreman, the ball popped out. Buffalo's Tom Rood had a chance to save the Bills, but Lash beat him to the ball. The Vikings had 21 points before Buffalo ever got on the board. Though moving in the face of one of pro football's best defenses, the Bills' offense would once again perform their specialty. They have often outscored the number of points that their defense gives up, and on 3 plays, they moved 57 yards. On his pop pass to Reuben Gant, Ferguson had noticed, as you can see here, that Viking middle linebacker Jeff Seaman was not in the middle. So Ferguson on the very next play popped one to Paul Seymour for 18 more yards. From the Viking 24, Ferguson tried Simpson, and the Bills were on the board. At halftime, the Bills trailed 21-7. Foreman had reached 1,000 yards. Tarkenton still needed 2 touchdowns to break United's record, and Simpson, by virtue of his touchdown, had tied Sayers' record of 22 touchdowns in a season. Trailing by 14 at the start of the second half, Buffalo attempted to get back in this game. O.J. Simpson, who touched the ball only 10 times in the first half, shredded the left side of the Vikings defense on 2 consecutive carries. With Minnesota overconscious of O.J.'s assault on the right, his backfield partner Jim Braxton gratefully accepted the huge opening that awaited him on the left as the Bills moved into Viking territory. Successful on the ground, Buffalo had no luck through the air, as this third down pass to Paul Seymour attests. After John Leipold missed a long field goal attempt, Minnesota took possession of the football. Buffalo's drive had ended in futility, and Minnesota was soon to end any doubts as to the outcome of this game on this frost-bitten day by driving the length of the field and scoring 2 touchdowns in the space of just over 3 minutes. Number 33, Brent McClanahan, playing in place of Ed Marinero, who pulled a hamstring muscle in the second quarter, got the drive off on the right foot by bullying 15 yards straight up the middle of the Bills' beleaguered defense. After a pass from Tarkenton to Jim Lash was just barely incomplete, the focus fell on Chuck Foreman. With his team record of 1,000 yards already accomplished in the first half, Foreman was concentrating on his 2 other personal goals: the first Triple Crown in NFL history and Gale Sayers' touchdown record of 22. At this point, Foreman had 20. After personally taking the ball to the 1-yard line, Foreman got touchdown number 21, his 3rd of the game. But even more significant, it was the 290th career touchdown pass thrown by Fran Tarkenton. And as we see it again, with Foreman fighting his way into the end zone, 2 of the great records in pro football were in jeopardy at the same time. Trailing now by 21 points, the luckless Bills turned the game into a rout by fumbling on the next series. Minnesota had the ball right back, and the Tarkenton-Foreman combination went right back to work carving up the Buffalo papier-mâché defense. For a rare moment, the scenario departed from the ubiquitous Foreman when Tarkenton threw to Jim Lash for 15 yards at the 6. Foreman was not in the game at the time, for he had been hit by one of the many snowballs swirling through the air. In fact, the Vikings seemed to have more difficulty dodging snowballs, or more precisely ice balls, than they did avoiding the opposing team. Foreman was properly angry about the situation, for though he missed only 2 plays, he suffered from blurred vision the rest of the game. At one point, a snowball hit Tarkenton on the helmet as he was throwing, and he tucked in the ball thinking it was a lineman's hand hitting his helmet. But Foreman and the Vikes got revenge the best possible way. From the 6, Fran Tarkenton rolled right and threw to Foreman, who went in for touchdown number 4. But the play and the day belonged to Fran Tarkenton, for it was touchdown pass number 291, breaking the record held by the man that most consider to be the greatest quarterback of them all. Let us relive the historic moment when John Unitas' record was broken.
Where's the... Thank you. Nice going, buddy. Fran Tarkenton, 291st touchdown pass, a new National Football League record.
With the score risen to 35-7, there was only one last piece of business at hand for the Bills. That was accomplished on their first play from scrimmage, when O.J. Simpson took a pass from Gary Morangi for 64 yards and the touchdown that broke the record set by Gale Sayers in 1965. At the tail end of a dismal, disappointing season, the Buffalo Bills had at least persevered to gain the one goal that meant so much to each of them. The record books will now read most touchdowns in a single season. O.J. Simpson, 20 December 1975. With the game already decided in the third quarter, O.J. sat out most of the final period. His achievements for 1975 already assured. The NFL rushing title with 1,863 yards and 23 touchdowns, most ever in a single season. The record almost was broken by Chuck Foreman, who came close with a furious flurry. 4 touchdowns for the game, which gave him 22 for the year and tied him with Sayers for second place in the record books. There was some action in the fourth and final quarter, but no further scoring. Buffalo coach Lou Saban could only watch futilely as his Bills, behind backup quarterback Gary Morangi, threw the ball often and long, and almost always without success. On the Minnesota side of the field, the scene was one of joy and laughter. The Vikings had won their 12th game. Their quarterback, Fran Tarkenton, had earned a cherished spot in history. And Chuck Foreman scored 4 touchdowns and had what must be a new record for sharing a record the shortest time. For one play after earning his 22nd touchdown, O.J. Simpson scored his record-breaking 23rd. So in the wind and snow of Buffalo's Orchard Park, the Minnesota Vikings left the frozen field pelted with snowballs, but victorious. In the warmth of the locker room, there was only well wishes for Tarkenton and his teammates.
fine. Good to see you.
Here's your mother.
Okay.
Come kiss your mommy.
Hey, Mom.
Come kiss your Aunt Lulu. I'm in the car, too.
Fran Tarkenton, better than anyone else, put the day's record-setting events in proper perspective.
It would have been nice if we could have gotten Chuck the record, but we never got down close enough again to get him the ball to get in there. You know, it's two great players, Simpson and Foreman. It was, I think it was an interesting highlight the second half to watch the two battle for that particular record, and O.J. got it and deserves a tremendous amount of credit for it. He made two super runs to get his touchdowns.
Now, how about your own reaction on setting a new touchdown pass record for the NFL?
Actually, I'm just glad it's done and behind us, and don't have to live the whole off season with when you're going to break it, are you going to break it, and that type of thing. So I'm glad that it's done and over with.